So thanks a lot for inviting us to be part of this webinar today, and very pleased to explain a little bit the experience of UNICEF in the area of solar powered water systems in our humanitarian programs. If you will go to the next slide, you will see that UNICEF normally every year we spend like around $1 billion US per year, and half of it is expenditure that relates with humanitarian assistance. Yeah, we work in more than 100 countries, and we have almost 800 staff, water and sanitation and hygiene staff over all these countries. When we look at the operations in terms of and the results that we are getting every year in terms of solar powered systems, mainly for water supplies, but we have also some interventions in water treatment plants, you will see that here the distribution of the main countries and regions that are basically using the solar energy as a way to run the water systems. Nigeria alone is doing a lot, has done a lot last year, followed by Yemen, Afghanistan, Burkina Faso, Mauritania. You can see here a little bit the distribution, but this is to say that across all the countries that are using solar, there is a bunch of 10, 15 countries that are doing most of the work. In the next slide, you will see that in terms of last year's results, only last year, UNICEF installed almost 1,300 solar-powered systems across 40 countries. This is the results only in 2019. And this kind of intervention covers not only the water supply for communities or for IDP camps, but also we are trying as much as possible to connect schools, healthcare facilities, and also see if we can promote the multi-use system so that other activities, and particularly smaller-scale livelihoods, can be done using the same water supply. Overall, UNICEF works on energy, using solar energy in 63 countries. This is not only, this is if we count not only WASH, but if we include also the education and the health sectors that are doing a lot of efforts on that area too, together with WASH. And also because UNICEF is under a process of trying to solarize compounds, warehouses, and offices as much as possible. If you see the pie distribution, you will see that most of the water supply systems go and relates to providing water to communities. But you see that there are other connections with the schools, healthcare facilities, and other uses which are important also. And you see where the main humanitarian programs using solar are around the different countries where we work. However, the next slide, I would like to focus on a couple of places. I'm going to talk about the experience that we have in Yemen and in Gaza. It started by Yemen, which has a very large, not only for that last year, but in the last few years, it has a very large interventions using solar energy. And this started a little bit as a fuel exit strategy and try to look for renewable and more sustainable sources of energy in 2016. This was the case in Yemen for UNICEF, yeah, for the operations that we were having there. It started very much in the rural areas. Also regarding the challenges to access deeper aquifers that with the traditional hand pumps were a little bit more challenging to get. But we rapidly saw that the success of using solar energy in rural areas could be really scale up and being brought to the urban settings, incorporating all the lessons that we learn working and operating in rural areas. Therefore, in 2018, a study was done, a technical study, a feasibility study on use of the solar in different locations in Yemen. And this was designed in a way that normally the systems are hybrid systems that use maybe a part of electricity, a part of fuel, and a part of solar, trying to reduce the dependence of other sources of energy that are not, let's say, that are less sustainable, right? In 2019, UNICEF Yemen installed 187 systems, including big projects that were done in partnerships with World Bank, KfW, DFID, and Qatar Foundation, among others. And one of the largest projects was in Sanaa City, where we targeted 17 water sources. Other partners like UNOPS and ICRC also were doing the same in other water sources available. And this resulted in providing water to 1.5 million people in the city using this hybrid approach. As a result of this experience that we have had across the years in a country like Yemen, the Ministry of Water and Environment adopted this as a national approach, and this is one of the things that Marco said at the beginning on the potential for a scale up, and once this is demonstrated and governments adopt this as a main approach, is where the potential of a scale up is really unlocked, no? and allows for a lot of additional interventions. So this is an important part of the things that UNICEF does together with the ministries to really move into the direction of adopting these as a national strategies and national approaches. UNICEF implements these projects or these activities in a different ways. We can implement with the government partners, with NGO partners, and sometimes directly is directly done by UNICEF. And we also have explored a long time different approaches for the technical operation and maintenance of these systems. That can be, of course, different when it comes to rural, where we normally tend to have smaller scale private operators running the operation and maintenance, while in urban areas, this normally relies on the utilities. So all this work is not only about making the capital investment for the solar, but also all the work of putting the right models for operating and maintenance is really important to assure the sustainability on the long term. We have a lot of challenges, and I am going to address them in the following slides. But I wanted to mention that conflict areas are a very big challenge. Sometimes, airstrikes can hit the system. This was the case that happened in Yemen, where a project was targeted by an airstrike and was destroyed. But this have been repaired and is now functional by today. The following slide, which is around the next slide, please. Yes, on this one is the case on Gaza. You all know that in Gaza there is a lot of difficulties also operating systems, particularly when there is a lot of dependence on fuel or electricity, because there are a lot of cuts. And therefore, UNICEF started the construction in Gaza of the first phase of this desalinization plant that you have in the picture from an aerial view, producing 6,000 cubic meters per day and reaching 75,000 people. And this is being expanded now to 20,000 cubic meters for a total of 250,000 people. At the first phase, the solar panels were installed on the roof of the building, and then solar fields were added to supply more electricity demand for running the plant in the phase one. Of course, when we installed this solar system, it was a huge reduction in fuel consumptions and electricity, so the costs were very much reduced. And this allow us to be less dependent on this electricity supply. As I said, there is a lot of shortage in the Gaza Strip, and also face some logistical challenges around importing fuel in this area. As you know, it's very difficult to get things in. So as I said, this is a hybrid approach because there are no batteries used, so that there is need to rely on generators and on electricity when there is no solar energy heating the panels. During this operation with diesel generators, we had a phenomenon called total harmonic distortion that was observed and really challenged the functioning of the plant and required that experts went and approached the country to see how to solve that, and this was solved. But this is to say that some of the big challenges that we have been facing on the ground. Other solar fields are being installed during this operation, and also, as I said, a wastewater treatment plant. This is also not only the case in Gaza. We operate with wastewater treatment plants in countries like Iraq, and there are other projects that, if time would allow, I will explain to cover on the operations that we have in drought-prone areas and other emergency contexts. The next slide. Is just to explain a little bit and very quickly the challenges that we have and the lessons learned. In terms of challenges, as I said, yeah, it's very difficult to really do the right things if we don't have enough capacity in our own staff or in the sector in which we operate. And sometimes the markets are having low quality products or low solar service products. So we have a lot of challenges in procurement. And of course, as I said, the embargoes, the restrictions, etc. We have learned that multi-use systems improve the level of services, that we can improve really the service delivery model because it's much more professional, using a smaller scale operators or working with the utilities for the operation and maintenance. We have learned about the importance of the enabling environment factors. Countries like Mauritania would have put really a lot of processes in place and building blocks in place in the whole sector to make the solar really successful experience and opportunities to combine with different approaches. In the final slide, which is the next one, I just wanted to say very quickly that thanks to the partnerships that we have with very, very expert partners like Water Mission International. Of course, we work very closely with Oxfam and with IOM in a lot of initiatives, has allowed us to put in place a plan to go through online training courses that we are doing with Water Mission. A solar hub that has been put in Western Central Africa to cover the needs for those countries on technical assistance, and other long-term agreements that we have with organizations to cover for self-contained units, as the ones that you see here. And under development, we have some products, solar manuals and advanced solar course that will be provided by the late of this year, and in future. Bottleneck analysis, assessments, and different financing mechanisms that we are going to explore. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you very much, and looking forward for the questions. And Fiona will be here to help us on the questions. Thank you very much.